We have one more question. It's also from Juliana. It might be Juliana. I apologize. At what stage in the manuscript do you recommend sharing your work? I sometimes don't like people commenting too early when I don't even know where the story is going myself. That is a great question.
Yeah. So do you think she's assuming, or she might be in a point where like the manuscript isn't done being written, or that it's written, it's just like in a very early stage?
I think it could be either. And I think a lot of people would probably have this question of particularly, okay, I've joined this group, or I'm looking to join a critique partner relationship. When am I ready for this? I assume everybody's different, but is it while I'm drafting? Is it wait till the third draft? You did mention something about maybe wait till you have more edits done, or can I just send pages as I write them? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think it would be a good thing to talk with your CP group about. And I do think that if you feel like, hey, I'm okay, as long as my CPs know that this is like really early, like if you only have like a chapter or something, we kind of talked about the test run again. Like, if you have a chapter, and I think I might have done this early on with my first CP, like I didn't have a ton to give her, but I wanted to know, am I on the right track at all? Generally, and I said, like, can you look at it developmentally? Can you look at it big picture instead of like, individual lines or like, super nitty gritty? Can you just tell me, do you think these characters are interesting? Do you think, this world is interesting? Do you think like, this opening image, like, does it capture you? Those kind of bigger things. And you're okay that you're very clear that this is like a first draft or whatever. I think it's okay to share that. It's just like making sure that people know where you're coming from and that they're okay giving feedback and what kind of feedback you're going to get. I definitely wouldn't give like a first draft full manuscript to a brand new CP because I feel like, again, there's a lot of messiness going on in there. And you haven't quite figured out like how to like your relationship yet, or, so they could do a ton of work on it again and then not give you really helpful stuff. And it wasn't very helpful on either end. So if you're going to give like a full manuscript or like a big chunk, I would at least do a self-edit on that first draft, or, when you feel like you've gotten it to a second draft kind of place. But I wouldn't, whether it's an outline, even like I mentioned before, or first pages or a first chapter. So I think it can be a little earlier. It's just a matter of being very clear of like where you're at and what kind of feedback you're looking for.
Yeah. And I just think it's, like you said, personal comfort level. If I would be the kind of person that I would only show very early pages to a critique partner I've known for a long time, who knows my writing, who knows that it's not going to be perfect at the beginning, all of that. But also just, I feel more comfortable that way. I don't know about you, but my first drafts are just a total mess.
Like a journal, it's just like, don't look at these.
Don't judge me. Right. This is not what it's going to be.
So the more comfortable you get, like I'll definitely send like super early things to like my critique partner of 3 or 4 years now. It's just like, she knows what it means when I'm sending that to her, but, and I know she's going to be gentle, or focus on the bigger aspects instead of like tearing it apart, so yeah, I think that's really good.
Yeah. And exactly what you said, I think expectations, setting those expectations. This is if you are going to send something new, this is very new. I'm just trying this out. Is this part working? I think can get some good answers there. If you enjoyed this video, we've got a lot more on writingmastery.com. Check the description for links to our blog, free writing tools, and more. Happy writing.